Whether it's open source or OpenStack, HP has some definite opinions. Stay tuned. Welcome to this episode of HP Tech Talk. I'm Andy McCaskey from STR News. As you know, HP is defining a new style of information technology, a new style of IT, whether it's from networking or servers or storage or the cloud or combining everything together. And when it comes to things cloud, we talk to Mr. Steven Spector. Good morning, sir.
Well, good morning. Thanks for allowing me to come on today. And I know Chris Purcell has done an amazing job of managing all these cloud presentations you've done. So I'd like to thank you for inviting me to join the team and help out. And I think today I have a very interesting guest looking at the open source part of cloud that HP's adopted, OpenStack. And I've brought one of our open source gurus, and I'm not sure there are too many people that know as much about open source as Mark Atwood. So I'm really excited to have Mark on the call today to really go a bit further in detail what we're doing with open source.
As Steven said, hi, my name is Mark Atwood, and my title is I'm the Director of Open Source Outreach at HP Cloud Services. People ask me what that means, and typically what it means is I engage with the open source communities that HP is working with, and I also work inside HP to train and retrain engineers and project managers how to work properly with the upstream and how to work properly with the communities and the contributors for the projects that we are dependent on. HP has a long history of working with open source. It's over 10 years ago, we were one of the first, if not the first, big IT company to fully embrace Linux. If any of you remember the Linux wars and the fear, uncertainty of doubt by the lawsuits from various companies about the basis of Linux, and HP stepped up, said that we are going with Linux, and we will help support any of our customers that install Linux on our boxes. And that kind of broke the log jam there. And now 1 out of 10 servers that HP, at least 1 out of each 10 servers that HP manufactures and ships has Linux pre-installed on it. I've seen the numbers about how many that is per minute, and it's a surprisingly high number. There's a lot of Linux out there, on a lot of hardware out there, all with the HP logo in front of it.
Well, there's a lot of ways that the phrase open source gets used, and I think maybe a good baseline would be for you to, from HP's point of view, what is and what is not open source?
HP considers open source any project that is run and maintained by a community with an OSI, the Open Source Initiative's, one of their approved licenses. Is the Linux kernel, for example, is done with the GPL v2 license. The OpenStack community is a large community of contributors, and that project uses the Apache 2 license, which was defined by IBM for the Apache project several years ago. So any project, any piece of technology that's developed and maintained and worked on by a community of people with the ethos of open source using an open source license is an open source project.
Well, the reason I asked that question was exactly that, because of some of the details as far as the GPL license versus the Apache license and so forth. So now, how does that distinguish from OpenStack? OpenStack is an open source project, is that correct?
That is correct. OpenStack is an open source project. It gets kind of interesting. It's actually several projects running in very close formation. The early history of OpenStack is that it was a one project out of Rackspace and another project out of NASA, that they discovered each other, discovered they were the yin and the yang of the basics of cloud computing, and started working together. From that, many more very close-knit projects have sprung up, and we share contributors between each other. We have shared a governance model between each other. We all have the same license. We all go to the same conference, and we all work on the same mailing lists. This kind of is federal project has advantages for the incredible scale that we're at. We are one of the largest and possibly the fastest growing software project in the history of software development, not just open source projects. But as I wandered far afield, in short, yes, it is an open source project and is a very large and successful one.
So why has HP chosen OpenStack as the cloud platform to direct the efforts?
When cloud computing first really started taking off, HP, like many other large IT companies, were developing some internal proprietary solutions that we wanted to sell to our customers. And we could see very early on that fragmentation in technology and fragmentation APIs was not something that was going to sell the cloud to anybody. People note, as Monty Taylor said in his keynote in Hong Kong last week, no customer has ever asked to be locked in. His customers will be very, very suspicious of proprietary solutions. So we wanted to pick a solution that would be open. It would be non-proprietary, open protocols, and customers would feel comfortable not being locked into it. And that implies open source. At the time, then, we had a choice between several different open source cloud computing fabric solutions. The one that we saw had the most momentum and also had most deeply drunk the open source Kool-Aid, and thus was really accelerating and really able to take input from all of the users that would want to use it, was OpenStack. This is not to say the other ones were technically bad in any way. It's just that the OpenStack approach was so open to participation that HP saw that it was able to participate and that we'd be able to sell it as a solution to customers, in part because they would be able to participate in it as well.
Well, I had to joke a little bit at the beginning when I said good morning. Actually, we're recording this about 4 p.m. Eastern time, but it still is morning for you guys. You've just gotten back from this All Things Open. Now, Stephen, were you presenting there, or were you there as an attendee?
So we were at the OpenStack Summit, which was in Hong Kong, which is every 6 months, the community gets together and plans what they're going to do in the next release of the next version of the product. They release every 6 months. And at the same time, while the developers meeting and arguing about how to build it, the business side and the marketing side comes together and talks about where the product is going, what are the customers doing, and learning from each other. I think one of the interesting aspects of OpenStack is from the beginning, the idea of having multiple companies and multiple people, that was baked into it from the start. And that's really what's made it such a successful open source community. Is internally, it's all about working together. And we had a discussion about competition. And one of the interesting things in the community is there's lots of competition. The engineers from companies that compete directly work together to make the product better. And at the same time, the businesses compete. But in the end, everyone benefits from working together. So the Hong Kong trip, the flights for me at least were about 16 hours to get there and about 14 back. So I think I need a few more days before I fully recover. And the good news is the next one's in Atlanta, so it won't be such a hard flight.
Well, yes. Whenever you're involved in that sort of standards type work, there are certain things that seem to be readily agreed upon, and there's other things where there's contention. What were some of the contentious issues that were addressed at this particular meeting?
None of the contention is really harsh. There's the contention that gets dealt with each time is the constant tension between adding features and upgrading the APIs versus slowing down and doing performance work and bug fixes. And each time one side says that wishes that they had gotten more of what they wanted, but we do a pretty good job of taking turns doing the leapfrog for new features and new APIs versus bug fixes and performance enhancements. That this is one of the things that works out well because of the federated aspect of OpenStack is the different subprojects can actually decide each time whether they want to jump ahead or take a breath.
So how does HP provide leadership within OpenStack? What's the primary role that HP tries to take?
So we take a couple of approaches. First of all, we actually help set the governance model up in the first place. When it was discovered that this project was growing so quickly and so many people wanted to get involved, the OpenStack Foundation was set up. And HP provided the legal advice and the legal business advice, mainly through one of my bosses, Eileen Evans, to help write the bylaws and set the foundation up. And she sits on the foundation board. Also, HP provides people. Most of the people who work for what's called the Infrastructure Continuous Integration Team actually work for HP right now, though that team is reaching out to pick up people from other companies. HP donates a great deal of capacity in our own public cloud for that process. The CI process is the system that allows OpenStack developers to test their code to make sure that they work. When we have over 1,000 developers coming from hundreds of companies pushing upwards of 300 improvements a day, things have to be continuously tested to make sure the whole thing doesn't break on somebody, and we provide that kind of technology. We also actually provide leadership in the realm of some of the sub-projects. Here in the Seattle office, most of the developers here work on one of the OpenStack projects that goes by the name of Trove. About half the developers work for HP and half of them work for Rackspace. Trove is the OpenStack database as a service. It's a way of encapsulating a database server such as MySQL and managing it for other users of a cloud, of an OpenStack-based cloud. Some of the other projects that we have, the project technical lead who works for HP include Ironic, which is OpenStack installer onto bare metal. Triple O, which is kind of mind-bending. It's using OpenStack to run itself, that OpenStack on OpenStack. And also OpenStack Heat, which is similar to, say, CloudFormations or Ansible. It's an orchestration system that is deeply embedded into the way OpenStack works. So we provide those people, we provide the employment for them so that they can work full-time on solving these problems and writing these code.
Well, what's the mixture between large organizations such as HP or Rackspace and much smaller companies within the OpenStack community?
It's a pretty standard exponential curve. Some of the very large companies involved are HP and IBM and Rackspace and Red Hat. And then as you just work your way down the list of organizations who are members of the foundation and operators, at the summit in Hong Kong, there were a great many people there who were not contributors. They were just operators, which was very exciting. These are people who were installing OpenStack and running it to run public clouds or to run their own application. And they ranged in size from, they just tossed off running 20 data centers in 20 cities to people who were just running a very small instance on a rack of just a few dozen machines. It's a full spread from large, medium, and small.
So if you had to list the top three benefits that HP receives by using OpenStack, what would they be? The first benefit is customers are willing to use our OpenStack-based products because they're not fearful of being locked into them. So that actually makes it an easier sell. It creates prestige for HP in the technology community. Cloud-based computing is a new style of IT, and HP is becoming a new style of IT company. We see OpenStack was the fastest way to be able to participate with that, and OpenStack is the way that HP is being able to reform itself into a new style of IT company. Also, our participation in OpenStack is inviting a whole new kind of person who wants to come work for the company. For better or for worse, we had a reputation for a while as not being the most interesting place to work. When I was offered this job at HP, I thought, HP, really? And then all the people I know who I trust a great deal, who were also
very much into doing open development and open source development, said, no, really, HP's really on this. And so I came myself, more people are coming as well. And that's really both bringing in interesting people into HP, and also, even more importantly, finding very interesting and intelligent people inside HP who are being invigorated and energized by this project and this new style of development. Smart people who work here, and it's been exciting to meet them and help tap their talents on this project.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It just seemed like you are so excited telling us about that. So the bottom line is, why would customers choose HP's cloud?
Enterprise customers should choose HP's public cloud for a couple of reasons. First of all, HP will sell large enterprise customers private cloud solutions at all scale. And then it becomes very easy once you have a private cloud solution provided by HP to, as your capacity needs grow and shrink over time, is to burst into our public cloud. If you already have a relationship with HP and or you have a enterprise level trust in HP, you can trust our cloud and you can trust the business model you have with us. And then it's one of the things about interoperability is you don't really have to dedicate yourself to HP. You can choose one of the public cloud providers, including HP, migrate around, and then just let us compete on speed and features and on cost, instead of on just trying to use the HP cloud.
Mm-hmm. And so it's a way that you can minimize your business risk by doing your development work in a private cloud setting, and then as you feel comfortable and as it bears out, move some of your operations, or eventually all of them, correct?
That's true. You can move your operations up to the HP cloud, and then as your workload increases or is consistent over time, it may make sense for you to start pulling that back internally. And is one of the things that HP is doing is we're building OpenStack technology and OpenStack APIs into our own appliances and products, so you can pull those back into your data center, run them yourself, and pay capital instead of operational for it, and not change your application at all.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a lot of exciting things to talk about coming up at HP Discover here in Barcelona. And
yes,
I look forward to having a chance to see you there, Mark. And Stephen, I think we're going to have a couple more episodes. Maybe you can foreshadow that a little bit as far as what's next from in HP Tech Talk from Cloud.
We do have some interesting talks coming up. Hybrid delivery is a really big topic for HP, talking about going from the private to the public. So I have one of our senior product managers responsible for hybrid delivery coming on. And we also have something called HP Cloud OS, which will be a whole separate topic. And that's a way for you to actually get basically an OpenStack distribution directly from HP to try it yourself. And we put all the parts together. So we do have, over the next couple of months, some really interesting cloud topics coming. And I'm sure your customers wanting to learn more about cloud will be more than satisfied with the speakers I bring in.
So it sounds like a lot of exciting material coming up as we learn more about cloud here on HP Tech Talk. Stephen, thanks for joining us here today. Mark, good to see you. And both of you get on to North American time so we can all get synchronized when we go to HP Discover in Barcelona. Thanks to you folks for joining us as well. We'll see you next time on HP Tech Talk.